What you are about to hear is the testimony of Tempie Bartell, the owner of Nadines Nest, an adult foster home where Russell Bingaman resided as a protected person. This testimony was given during a hearing to limit association between Russell and his wife, Patricia Bingaman. The guardian's petition relies on Oregon statute ORS 125-323, which states a guardian may not limit a protected person's preferred associations except to the extent necessary to avoid unreasonable harm to the protected person's health, safety, or well-being. The statute does not define unreasonable harm. The petitioner's case rests on the argument that Russell's wishes can no longer be determined and that his wife's visits are the cause of behavioral issues. This assertion is directly challenged by evidence of Russell's own words. Just 2 months before his attorney would claim he could no longer express himself, Russell had a vibrant conversation with his wife. They spoke of the Pendleton Roundup, Patsy Cline, and bankers he remembered by name. He was lucid and witty, saying he better get his wallet out or we're going to quit him, and promising his wife, "I'll take you." He was far from a man who could not make his wishes known. This raises a critical question. If Russell clearly expressed his desire to see his wife, why did his own attorney use the substituted judgment standard, a standard reserved when a person's wishes are unknown? As this introduction will show, and as Miss Bartell's testimony will detail, the justification for unreasonable harm appears to stem from a single, uncorroborated source: Nadines Nest itself.
Baum is ready, and we'll swear you in. Are you ready, Mr. Baum? I am, Your Honor. Okay. Miss Bartell, are you ready to testify?
I am.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Under the penalty of perjury, you solemnly, it's okay, happens all the time.
Sorry. Dyslexia.
Under the penalty of perjury, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will provide the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name for the record.
Tempie Bartell. Last name is Bartell.
May I inquire?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bartell, do you still own Nadines Nest?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you testified in this matter before this court earlier this year, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How often are you at Nadines Nest in person?
2 to 3 times a week at least.
How often are you called or notified regarding issues or behaviors of various residents?
It depends on how things are going, but it may be daily, it may be just a couple times a week.
Okay. And how often do you receive phone calls or contact on a weekly basis regarding the Bingaman family?
From the family itself?
Yeah.
To me?
Yes.
Not very often. It really depends on, like, I may have called them or talked with them once to twice in the past 3 weeks.
Okay. How often do you get calls from your employees regarding Russell Bingaman?
Well, I check in with them nearly daily to make sure everything's going okay. When there's a problem, at this point, it's fairly rare, maybe once a week.
Okay. Now, when you say you call in daily to check on them, is that you call in daily to check on Mr. Bingaman?
I call in daily just to make sure everything's going okay at the adult foster home.
Okay, at the facility, at the home, generally speaking.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So you're familiar then with the reason we're here before the court today regarding the limitation with Mr. Bingaman's association with his wife, Patricia Bingaman. Is that correct?
No one's really explained why we're here today, but now I understand.
Okay.
You just heard Tempie Bartell under oath state she was unaware of the reason for the hearing. Let's look at the documented facts, which tell a very different story. Her involvement didn't start at the hearing, it began long before. In August 2023, it was Tempie Bartell who drafted the initial document to restrict Patricia's visits. When Patricia visited after learning that document was invalid, it was Tempie Bartell who had the police called to escort her from the property. Now let's focus on the days leading up to the hearing itself. On June 25, 2024, Tempie Bartell sent an email to the Guardian's attorney, Wyatt Baum, with an ultimatum. She demanded Russell Bingaman be moved out of her facility ASAP. Her reasons were explicit. She blamed Patricia's visits for causing severe anxiety and distress and for causing her primary caregiver to quit. On that exact same day, the attorney filed the motion to limit association, the very motion being discussed at the hearing. The attorney's own bills confirm this. On June 25th, he charged the estate to review a notice in from Tempie and to handle correspondence from Nadines Nest. Furthermore, on July 10th, the Guardian's own logs show Tempie Bartell was in communication with DHS officials who advised that Nadines Nest could lock door to keep Patty out. So, to be clear, the record shows Tempie Bartell had a history of trying to restrict Patricia's access. It shows she sent a written demand that directly triggered the legal motion. And it shows she was a key witness for whom the attorney had prepared. The evidence doesn't just suggest she knew why she was there. It shows she was a key driving force behind the very hearing she claimed ignorance of.
Are you familiar with the ongoing conflict, for lack of a better term, between Mrs. Bingaman and her son, Sean and Austin Bingaman?
I'm aware. Yes, the answer would be yes, but you'd have to be more specific for me to answer for sure.
Okay. How often are you present when Mrs. Bingaman comes and visits Mr. Bingaman?
Not very often.
Have you been present for visits between?
Yes, maybe 5 or 6 times, less than 10 times in the past 3 years.
Okay. When was the last time you were present from a visit between Mrs. Bingaman and Mr. Bingaman?
It's been several weeks. I'm sorry, somebody's knocking at the door. Lock the door so nobody comes in.
For context, Tempie Bartell is testifying from her hotel room in Hawaii using FaceTime on her phone. I don't recall ever being in a hotel room where the door wasn't locked unless you had a key or a key card.
So in the last, around June 9th, that was when we were allowed to lock the door. So I haven't had any encounters with her since then.
Okay, and you said that was June 9th?
I'm sorry, July 9th.
Okay, so you were present for an interaction between Miss Bingaman coming to the property on July 9th?
I don't think I was there. That's when we were able to lock the doors and there were no more issues with her coming in.
Okay. So do you know, when you say you're able to lock the doors, who gave you the permission to lock the doors?
My licensing, adult foster home licensing, they gave us permission to follow what the Guardians were requesting to keep Patty out of the inside of the facility. And they said that they had gone up to their central office and the word back was that I needed to follow what the Guardians were requesting.
That's interesting because we have extensive documentation that shows Tempie Bartell attempted to keep Patricia away since Russell was first dropped off on February 20th, 2022.
Okay. So have you had any issues with Mrs. Bingaman visiting your facility?
Yes, we have in the past.
What are those issues?
Over the past 2 years, we've tried to work with her on the length of time and the frequency, because when she visits, her husband becomes very upset, angry, has increase of negative behaviors after she leaves. And is that what you were trying to find out?
Okay, yeah. And how often would those negative behaviors manifest when Miss Bingaman visited?
Every time she visited. Every time she visited. Every time she visited.
The data strongly refutes the claim that visit length caused harm or that a 30-minute limit is necessary. 1. Direct impact rate. Only 5.6% of visits, 2 out of 36, showed issues directly attributable to the visit. 94.4% of visits had no direct negative impact. 2. Long visit success. 90.9% of longer visits had no direct issues. Several longer visits showed positive engagement, multiple documented cases of resident wanting longer visits. 3. Contributing factors. Most documented issues coincided with pre-existing medical conditions, medication timing, sleep patterns, multiple visitors. 4. Evidence against a 30-minute limit. No correlation between visit length and negative behaviors. Longer visits often showed positive outcomes. Most successful care activities occurred during longer visits. Several instances of resident not wanting visits to end. Short visits, 41.7% of the total, and long visits, 30.6% of the total, both showed high success rates. The 30-minute visit restriction appears arbitrary and is not supported by the documented evidence. In fact, longer visits often demonstrated positive engagement and successful care activities. The data shows that visit duration was not a determining factor in resident outcomes, with both short and long visits having high success rates, 100% and 90.9% respectively.
And how often was Miss Bingaman visiting?
She was visiting probably at least 3 to 5 times a week for over a half an hour, usually multiple hours, sometimes up to 6 hours.
Okay. And would Mr. Bingaman have similar reactions to other visitors when they came to your unit to visit?
No, he did really well. We had members of his family come and visit. They could all see when he became anxious and would leave immediately. Sometimes that happened within 15 minutes. Sometimes that happened within a half an hour. But and actually with his sons, they've been there longer than a half hour. I don't know how long. But
okay. Do you have any techniques?
No reactions.
Okay. Do you have any techniques or anything that you or your staff use to redirect Mr. Bingaman when he's upset or agitated?
Yes, we try to speak calmly to him. We try to guide him back into his room if he's out in the living room and carrying on. Basically, many techniques that we use just for any patient that is very demented.
Okay.
Sometimes we have to call his family, his children, and I'm sorry, hang on, his children, and have him come in and talk with him or talk with him on the phone. I'm sorry, I can't see my phone. Oh. Okay.
You're
Should
fine.
be quiet now, sorry.
You're fine. Okay. And do the visits by Mrs. Bingaman affect your ability to provide care for Mr. Bingaman?
His behaviors are become very difficult, or had become very difficult every time that Patty would come, and they escalated over the 2 years to the point where he was trying to leave the facility. We'd have to have 2 people there, because if he left, we didn't want to let him go out on 16th Street, which is very busy with the traffic, very dangerous situation. And we have called the police to help us get him back into the house.
I pulled the police calls for Nadines Nest, and there was only one call. When Tempie Bartell had resident manager Alessia Koza call the police and escort Patty off the property in front of Russell on Halloween 2023. I don't know about you, but I would be a little pissed off if I was forced into a place I didn't want to be and you constantly tried to ban my wife. I wouldn't be very cooperative. And speaking as a veteran, I can tell you that Russell, having served in Vietnam, was a fighter. Underneath that quiet disposition was a man who was fierce when he needed to be. And that's exactly what the records show. He was captive, his wife was banned, he was forced to take medications he did not need, and he was far more lucid than what the fraudulent medical records show. Remember, Russell was only supposed to be able to speak 5 words at most, be unable to perform any care himself, or feed himself after July. He was supposed to be basically bedridden, and that he was definitively not. Patty fought the system to see her husband, and Russell fought the medications to see his wife. Records are clear. Russell would get very upset if he found out Patty had come by and he was sleeping.
Oftentimes, though, the caregivers can redirect him, or his family shows up to help his children to redirect him into the facility.
Okay. And have you lost any of your care providers over Ms. Bingaman's behaviors?
Yes, my primary care provider, Alicia, was there for nearly 5 years and became just overwhelmed with the anxiety that Mrs. Bingaman caused her. But there were multiple things that happened that were just very overwhelming for Alicia, and she gave her notice.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did Ms. Bingaman ever bring third parties with her to visit Mr. Bingaman?
She has brought another, I'm not sure if it's a friend, an acquaintance. She has brought Jody, I cannot remember her last name, sorry, with her. And she may have brought other people too.
Okay. Is there any special significance with the friend named Jody that she brought, or the individual named Jody?
Bullock. Jody Bullock used to own an adult foster home.
Okay.
That's the significance to me, that she should know the rules and the difficulties that go on with patients that have dementia and disorientation.
Okay. Now, Ms. Bartell, did you send an email to myself and Sean Bingaman about June 25th of this last year regarding removing Mr. Bingaman from Nadines Nest?
Yes.
Have you reviewed that email recently?
Fairly recently, yes.
Okay. Do you happen to have a copy of it in front of you?
I can switch screens and get to there. Okay.
Okay. Do you have it up?
You're referring to the move out order?
The email first, Tuesday, June 25th, 2024.
You may have to go in and find that elsewhere.
Well, that's okay. I'll read it out loud
okay.
for you and let me know if this is what your recollection is. It says, Sean and Wyatt, due to Patty Bingaman not respecting and complying with the visitor restrictions ordered by her health provider.
It's important to note that Russell's health provider gives testimony that she, Cammie Bean, gave the so-called order based on information she got from the facility, not indirect observations herself. In fact, Russell was given 6 months to live, and Nurse Bean did not even see him that day during that telehealth visit because Russell was sleeping. I wonder if he was sleeping because of the chlorpromazine that Tempie Bartell prescribed.
By visiting more than twice per week and staying more than a half an hour per visit, and Russell's resulting behaviors that have escalated to elopement and severe anxiety and distress after each of her visits, and the loss of my primary caregiver due to the anxiety Patty causes her, and the overwhelming effects of Russell's behaviors post-visits from Patty that has caused my second care provider to nearly quit, I must give notice that Russell has to be moved out of Nadines Nest ASAP if Patty continues to visit Russell at Nadines Nest Adult Foster Home, Tempie Bartell, owner, Nadines Nest. Do you recall sending that email?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you send a move-out notice as part of that email, or as part of that situation?
Yes.
Okay.
As part of the situation, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I offer Exhibit 12 for the record.
Objection?
No objection.
No objection.
Exhibit 12 is received.
And just for purposes of brevity here, do you have the move-out order in front of you, Ms. Bartell?
Yes, I do now.
Again, Your Honor, this is Exhibit 13. On page 2, under subsection 3, written notice, you have a couple boxes checked on the welfare of Mr. Bingaman. Could you read those out loud to the court?
Yes, the welfare of the resident or residents. Checked behavior that poses an imminent danger to self and others, including acts that result in the resident's arrest or detention. The second one I checked was behaviors or actions that repeatedly and substantially interfere with the rights, health, and safety of the residents and others.
And why did you check those two boxes?
Because Russell would become so aggravated and anxious, and his behaviors escalated to the point where he was eloping, leaving the facility and the yard and going out into the street, causing lots of dangers to himself. In addition to that, he would become very resistant to any care to try to help keep his skin. He's incontinent of urine and bowel. So to try to keep his skin clean, he would not eat for up to 48 hours after her visits. That's a real risk to his own personal health. He would also come out and speak aggressively to other residents, saying that they were in his chair or just that this is his house, they need to leave, all kinds of different things.
Okay, thank you. And it's based on your knowledge and experience at Nadines Nest and interactions with Ms. Bingaman and Mr. Bingaman, it was your belief that Mrs. Bingaman's visits were causing these disruptions to his health?
Yes, it did not happen with other visitors at all.
Okay. And then if, Your Honor, I'm looking at what's now been marked as Exhibit 15. Ms. Bartell, did you send a notice dated August 16th, 2024 to Mr. Bingaman, Sean Bingaman, stating that the move-out order had been rescinded?
Yes.
And why did you rescind that order?
Because on the 8th was when the licensing department emailed me and said that they had forwarded the case to their central office policy team and that we did not need an individually based limitation, that we needed to follow the guardian's request because by law they were the ones that were in charge of taking care of Russell and speaking for Russell.
Okay. So from July 9th to now, how has Mr. Bingaman been?
He's been much improved. Eating and drinking, he actually gained a little bit of weight. Very cheerful most of the time. He's able to sleep all night most nights. He's just doing much better.
Nadines Nest, Care Logs 7-6, resident slept most of the afternoon. 7-7, resident slept all night. Resident ate lunch and went back to sleep. 7-8, had to call Lift Assist yesterday about 7 p.m. because the resident was slipping off his bed and could not lift him. Had to call again at 3:55 a.m. because he again slid onto the floor and would not let me help him. He swung at and yelled at EMTs both times they came. 7-9, threw up twice, refused care and meds, yelling "Get out of here." 7-10, refused care, slept. 7-12, refused care. 7-13, refused meds. Serious health issue, throwing up coffee ground material, emesis. Soiled pants, slept in bed refusing care. So he slept in vomit and soiled pants, again yelling, "Get the hell out." Note, no emergency care for emesis. It goes on. And on August 14th, in a hospice recertification note, it was noted his weight was taken on August 7 using scales. He was thin and frail, weighing 132 pounds. Russell weighed 132 pounds, down from 160. He lost 28 pounds in a little over a month. In the next publication you will see, the Nexus try and protect one of their own by changing this record. In a building, in a room, during a meeting where Russell is not, they decide to change his weight back to 160, saying that the nurse that took his weight on the scales recorded him as thin and frail was incorrect.
Okay. And since July 9th, have his children and other family members continued to visit him?
Yes, they have.
Okay. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you offer Exhibit 15, Mr. Baum?
Your Honor, I offer Exhibit 15 for the record.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
Exhibit 15 is received.
And how about 13?
I did believe I offered that. If I didn't, I will re-offer Exhibit 13. 12. It was 12 and 13 and 15 were the exhibits offered. Not offered.
Any objection?
None.
Ms. Cooper?
None.
Exhibit 13 is received.
So turning to Exhibit 15, Ms. Bartell, I noticed that email was sent August 16th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I noticed
is
the
that
move-out order had been given on July, or the move-out order had been rescinded on July 9th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why
I
did it
had
take
done a
5
verbal,
weeks? Why did it take 5 weeks?
I had,
Hold on just a moment.
I'm sorry,
Mr.
I
Knoll.
had,
Yeah, you go ahead and finish your answer, Ms. Bartell.
okay, I had called the kids, Cheryl, Sean, Austin, I'm not sure exactly which, I think it was Austin, and let them know that I would rescind the move-out order. We don't have an actual form for that. And then later he called me and asked me to give a written documentation of the rescinding order.
So if visits were to resume, does that mean the move-out order would be reinstated?
Yes, I would have to do that because his behaviors get so violent. He would have to be to the point where he'd have to be in a locked facility to protect him. He couldn't go to another adult foster home and continue having the visits. He would need to be in a locked facility.
And so if so the move-out order was rescinded because it became safe for Mr. Bingaman to be at your facility again? Is that what I understand?
The rescinding of the order was based on the ability to actually lock our door and to keep Patty out because she would not respond to us telling her that the guardians did not want her to visit. We tried for over the years to accommodate her visits and have her come shorter times, but she never respected those discussions or plans and would just come anytime and stay long times. And it continued to be a problem until the guardians actually requested that we keep her out of the facility. And I had to wait until licensing approved that order because in our licensing, we can't keep anyone out of the facility, and they can stay as long as they want. They can come anytime they want without something like the guardian saying, I want you to lock the door when this person comes and keep this person out.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
And Ms. Cooper?
Yes, I have a few questions for you, Ms. Bartell. Can you hear me all right?
I can barely hear you.
The chairs don't move and I'm soft-spoken. How's this? Is that better?
Yes, I'll hold the mic up to where I can hear you with
Okay.
your question.
You testified earlier that Mr. Bingaman's behavior has improved since Patty stopped visiting in July. How do you know that?
We know that because we document on nearly a daily basis on all the residents about how their day went, what their activities were, if there was any problems, if there weren't any problems. And the documentation in all of our narrative notes shows he does have days when he's not feeling well, but when he's upset, it's a matter of 15 minutes instead of 48 hours. So dementia does have that effect, but it was just way over the top when he was being visited by Mrs. Bingaman.
It has been recommended that Mr. Bingaman only get 2 visits a week, no more than 30 minutes. Based on your knowledge about Mr. Bingaman, do you think that would cause agitation, or do you think he misses and wants to see his family?
I can't speak for Russell's, what his thoughts are. What I can do is speak to his behaviors. And I have certification in geriatric care, and I know that individuals that have dementia often cannot express their thoughts or desires through verbal communication, and it may come out as frustration and anger in hitting or biting or kicking or defecating someplace or yelling. There's all kinds of expressions of his discontent.
And that discontent you saw after Patty's visits?
Yes, it would go on for 1 to 3 days.
Did you see similar behaviors after other visits?
Not after other visits. Yeah, after his other visits, we did not see that kind of upset, angry irritability. Those visits were often shorter, briefer, and although not all of them were, his children would spend a couple hours with him. But I had one time I was there, and one of his, I can't remember if it was an aunt or a niece, to the children, went and visited him, and she was back out in 15 minutes, and she said she noticed that he was getting anxious, so she decided to leave. So, and then he didn't have any further issues after that visit.
And does Mr. Bingaman have a care plan?
Yes, he did have a care plan. Does.
And what behavior redirection techniques are listed in that plan?
I don't have his care plan with me, I'm sorry.
Do you recall what any of those techniques might be?
Distraction with trying to redirect him to a different activity or a different conversation, bringing up other things, maybe starting a game or an activity to see if that would help him, or redirecting him into his room. There's many things. I don't have a list of those in front of me.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Baum.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Bartell, you testified or just mentioned that you would not allow Mr. Bingaman back in, or, sorry, if Mrs. Bingaman was allowed visits with her husband again, that you would then reinstitute the notice to move, essentially. Is that correct?
Yes, I would have to do that based on our past experience here, because we're just not able to protect him from trying to elope, and I would have to have one-on-one staff constantly 24 hours a day, and I just can't do that.
If the court was to impose limitations on those visits and hypothetically put in the requested visit from Cammie Bean, which is 2 30-minute visits per week, that's all, and one of those visits was to go to Ms. Bingaman, would you still require Mr. Bingaman to move out if that was the court's order?
I think that I probably would ask them to move him because my staff has just been stressed to the max over this whole situation, and I can't afford to lose my staff for the sake of the other residents.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have one more.
Yes, Mr. Knoll has another question, Ms. Bartell. Go ahead, Mr. Knoll.
So, Ms. Bartell, did I understand you correctly that you said that you have nearly daily notes on each of the residents at Nadine's Nest?
Yes, the staff makes those notes.
So would it surprise you to know that between March 7th and July 2nd of 2024, there's 32 days that have no notes? Does that seem unusual?
No, no, it wouldn't be unusual. Like I said, if things are going well, they may not be charting something. Nearly daily, not constant.
So 2 out of 3 qualifies as nearly?
In my opinion, yes.
We know from a recorded interview with former resident manager Alicia Callahan that Tempie Bartell took the logs home one night. Upon review of the logs given to the court as discovery, Callahan noted there are definitely pages missing. Guardian's logs kept by daughter Cheryl Murchison show missing days and visits from family members, including Patty. Cheryl documented what the facility staff told her and the Guardians. This leaves little doubt that the logs were falsified. In the next report, I show you how I filed into the guardianship case after Russell's death, showing the court the misconduct. Be sure to follow the Valor Facebook page because you are not going to believe the court's response.